Thanks everyone for downloading this episode of the Nerd Ball Podcast. I am Lorenzo, your host with the most whatever. So I am here as always, once a week now. Thanks for sticking with me. Thanks for sharing, reviewing, subscribing, all that stuff for the podcast, helping it grow. Reach us at the nerdballpodcast@gmail.com. Look for our new episodes. Check out the YouTube page, search the Nerd Ball Podcast. The views have been picking up there, so it's exciting to see that. So keep doing what you're doing. It's exciting, guys. I do appreciate everything, and every time I do an episode, put it out, it's fun to see people's reactions, if they comment about it or whatever. So it is exciting. So thank you again for all that. This episode is with my good friend Scott, who is always down to podcast on short notice. Especially, he's one that I can always count on. Him and Ben Marshall, the short notice podcast kings, ready to go. So I hope you enjoy this episode. It was a great conversation as always. Again, please reach out to the nerdballpodcast@gmail.com or any of our social medias for anything you'd want to talk about. So thanks again.
Hi, this is Scott Buker, and this is the Nerd Ball Podcast.
This is the Nerd Ball Podcast with Lorenzo Melcher.
Thanks, Scott, for coming on the podcast. I feel like you've been on so often, I can just reuse your intros instead.
Probably just it's like we do like the voice recordings at school for like the safety announcements for like basketball games. Now we just videotaped, or we just audio taped Brandon Decker just saying it once, and we just hit play on it now.
yeah, it just makes it easier. You don't have to be there. We can just get going, but in reality, it's only 5 seconds. So
right.
Anyway, thanks for coming on the podcast. And like I always say, you're my super short notice guy. You and Ben Marshall are usually pretty good, which is hard to believe sometimes because you both have young children. So it's not always like it's not always a guarantee. But in my brain, I'm like, well, yeah, they do it all the time. Yeah,
I mean, once they go to bed, that makes things a little easier. And actually, right now, with me being off today, it helps out with being. I know today's not the episode's not going to come out for a couple of weeks, but it is New Year's Day today, so I'm off.
Yeah.
Actually, my wife Lindsay, she took the girls to Walmart. Alice got an easy bake oven for Christmas, so they're buying some more recipes to do that. So they're actually all at the house right now. Just me and the dog right now. The dog's underneath me. If you see like my arms, it's because the dog's underneath me and needs constant petting.
All right.
Nothing else is happening.
The easy bake oven, man, my sisters had those a long time ago. They're still around, eh? I'm surprised Lillian hasn't asked for one.
Yeah, so we made like pretzels and these like little mini cheese pizzas things yesterday.
Yeah.
Interesting.
How do they taste?
They taste like what you'd imagine they would taste like. It's never a good sign when you have to make the cheese for the cheese pizza where it says take this liquid into a sandwich bag and stir it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, let's just say it's not ancestral diet stuff, that's for sure.
All right. Yeah, you're no, I can't imagine. Lillian had got a science kit. It's almost like a girls and STEM science kit. And she made candy, like gummy candy, which is she just basically made Jello, but they said it was candy. And like she brought it over to my in-laws when we went over there for Christmas. She's like, here, everyone can have a piece. And we all had it, and we all took some, and we're just like,
delicious.
The texture was fine, which is usually a huge part of food is texture, right? There was just no flavor at all. Like it was like plain Jello, and even she's like, it's not very good.
Remember the creepy crawlers?
Yeah, I used to make those.
Yeah, so I don't know, like a year ago or so, Alice had gotten something similar to that, but you can eat them.
Oh,
and so we made those a couple times. And I remember like trying one and like gagging it down. Like, oh, this is so bad.
Yeah, as a dad, you can't just be like, nope, you made whatever you made is horrible.
Yeah, delicious. So now Alice actually wants to set up a cheese pizza stand and use her easy bake oven to make these little cheese pizzas and sell them. And so I was actually throwing away this big diaper box. It's like huge, right?
Yeah.
And she, no, that's gonna be my cheese pizza stand. I'm like, okay. So it's sitting in the family room right now, waiting to be utilized.
I don't know how many boxes have been cut up in our house to
Oh
do
yeah.
whatever.
Oh yeah. They love it. I mean,
Yeah.
it's really cool. I mean, actually, so I'll have to share this with you. There's this TED talk that I watched about a year ago, and I shared it with the staff. And this guy, basically the premise of it was get back to your childhood wonder.
Mm.
And it was super creative and interactive and things like that. But it focused on, when you were a kid and you had this box, right? The endless possibilities of what this box could be.
Mm-hmm.
But when you start to age and grow up, you just start to see it just as a box again, right? So the premises of the video is to get back to your childhood curiosity, with the options of what this could be. Super cool video. I know Jackie Durr showed it to like her some students, and she did his conference out in Arizona, and like kind of like based her presentation on that video.
Oh,
Particularly with like STEM teaching, a lot of it is creativity and kind of having that engineering processing and that mind for it.
yeah. Mateo, right on the floor next to me, in one of his classes, he had to build um, I guess a roller coaster, but it's for marble. So
Oh
he
yeah,
just like,
yeah.
and it's he
Like
brought it
a Rube
home.
Goldberg type of thing, right? It's you kept all the levers
Oh yeah, yeah.
and it goes down. Yeah.
He brought it home, and I was like, "Oh, did you like everyone do this?" He goes, "No, we worked in a group." I was like, "Oh, so why did you get to bring it home?" Now he's like, "Well, I did the most work, so they said I could bring it home." I was like, "Okay, so now we get to own this marble paper
Let's just
cardboard
sit
thing."
there. Yeah, let's just sit there.
It's just on the floor. It constantly gets stepped on because it's right when you come down our basement stairs. It's right on the corner, right
Yeah,
there.
it's
So
probably made of like popsicle sticks and stuff too, right?
it
Um,
actually, it's pretty cool. It is just paper and tape. That's all it is.
yeah. Oh
Yeah,
wow, that's
yeah,
neat.
yeah. It's
So
pretty cool, and I had to help him. Like he brought it home when they were done with it, but he wanted to finish it, so I was helping him
yeah,
finish it and stuff.
so Lindsay's dad got this marble just like that, this like Rube Goldberg marble thing, but it was like a set. He got this for Christmas
Yeah,
from his wife. He likes super like interesting stuff like that. And he put it together, and he was telling us about it on Christmas Day, how like it's just made of like wood, and it's like an erector set type of thing, and there's no screws, they all kind of fit together, whatever. He goes, the girls are gonna love it when they come over later this week.
mm-hmm.
And so we go over there. Yeah, their family Christmas party on Saturday, and the girls are playing with it on the floor, and they have the little marbles. It's like the mouse trap thing, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
All the way through, and they're super into it. And then they got some other presents too. And I'm sitting there with the two girls, and they're asking me to get out this doll that they got. And like dolls now, it's like Fort Knox trying to get them out. So I'm trying to like, and I don't have scissors with me, so I'm trying to like get them out. So as I'm doing that, Georgia breaks off the crank to this like mousetrap thing. And
Oh
I
no.
was like, let's just put this up here. And just not say anything.
Did you find out while you were there?
I don't know.
Man, kids are so destructive, but you can't like they're kids, and
Oh,
you can't
you
get them in
laugh.
trouble, right? Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
you just laugh about it, and at least I do. I know sometimes, like in the moment, like that's something I've really tried to like work on over the last year. Really, is not to get so frustrated when they do something wrong, or they're having like a meltdown, or something like that. Just kind of like keep it in mind, like okay, she's 5 and she's
yeah.
2. This is going to happen in their world. This is like the end of it. Just address it and move on. Don't get so worked up about it. But
I
yeah,
I think a lot of our frustrations when it comes to our children is just because we're frustrated at something else at work or whatever
oh for
else
sure.
happened or the day. It's not, and then it's like you get home and then this thing happens. It's like the cherry on top of your volcano that's about to explode.
Yeah, I find that a lot, like with what I do, particularly working with the schools and being an administrator. You know, honestly, I mean, we talked about this before. A lot of times, unless we go out and search for those positive student interactions, a lot of our interactions with kids are negative. They've done this or they did this, and you're kind of working through it. And I remember, Dave Boyce said this to me years ago when I got into administration, and he told me, he said it's hard to be a primary disciplinarian at work and then come home and also do it at home too.
Oh yeah.
And he goes, because of that carryover. And I remember his good conversation with Dave, and he had said you have to make sure when you leave, you check it, and you keep things in perspective, and you understand like the kids at home are not the kids at school.
Mm-hmm.
And there has to be a clean break and a separation there between the two of them.
So
I always kind of keep that in mind.
I would imagine a big part of being an administrator is discipline, and I would imagine it gets frustrating when you're just like having to constantly do it. And maybe constantly makes it seem like it's like all the time, every day. But when you are doing it, it is like, oh, I had to do this with a student yesterday, and because I know my job is not like, it's not fun when you have to like discipline and tell staff like, hey, you guys aren't doing a good job right now, and it gets a little frustrating.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you this. I mean, like, and this, you've been in our community for so long. We've got really great kids. So we don't really have a whole lot of, like crazy discipline or anything like that. And we got really good teachers who kind of understand perspectives. And, we've worked really hard the last couple of years with kind of like seeing the kid as a whole person. And, the structure creates the behavior. And, a lot of times, if something happens, we look at that internally and be like, okay, what was the structure that we have in place? And did a lack of, kind of our fault, a lack of structure, a lack of communication, or a lack of direction, or a lack of expectation actually cause that behavior. So there's a lot of that self-reflection piece for us too. But, I think I'm super proud of, our teachers and our, Brandon and Chad, or the two assistants, that kind of always look at the kid as a whole first and try to figure out what's best for them. And, so it's good. But this, we got great kids.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. When there is like, discipline, or you have to talk to a student and it's going to be like, it's a negative thing, it's not necessarily a positive thing, do you always do it in your office?
Not necessarily. Actually sometimes I like to call kids. I like to call kids down to my office for good things. Because,
I was just gonna say yes.
Because a lot of times they always associate being called down to either you're the two assistant principals and something bad's going to happen. And like we try to like correct that image. And even like that's the image. I think this, and you're never going to fully correct that, because that's the nature of school since inception. You get called down to the principal's office, it's because something bad happened, right?
Yeah.
Or if the principal comes to your room and pulls you out, it's because something bad happens. So we try to correct that, as much as we can. I think it depends on the kid too. So if I have a relationship with the kid, let's say I do have to talk about something bad that happened, and I've got a relationship with the kid, I might just go, pull them out of class. Like, let's go for a walk here a little bit, and let's walk along the hall or talk about it, or, that situation just kind of depends. I mean, I remember earlier this year, there was a kid who I was super proud. He's an 8th grader. As a 7th grader, had a ton of challenges, with him he's kind of got a unique story to him. And he decided to play football this year as an 8th grader, which was awesome. And, kind of one of those situations where the kid needs football more than football needs the kid.
Oh yeah.
And I was at the game the night before. He got into the game and made some really nice tackles, and, just not afraid to get his nose dirty type of thing. And I was walking by one of his classrooms. I was actually in art class, and I was like, hey, I popped in. And I said, hey, can I see you for a second? And everybody was like,
yeah.
Right. And I was like, hold on. Just because I'm up here doesn't mean he's in trouble. I'm actually pulling him out to praise him because he did something really, really good. So haha on all you guys, type of thing. So we try to do like be a little intentional with that piece of it too. So I know like one of the things that Brandon loves to do is he's in charge of our Jacket Way stuff. And, we give out so many different student incentives, and, we reward kids every month, randomly with a free Subway lunch. And so he always calls them down and writes them passes, and they come to the office. They don't I mean, they don't know what's going on. And Brandon's like, hey, you want a free Subway lunch? So that's always fun for us.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you, when there are the positive things like that, do you do that? Will you do that in front of other, like, instead of pulling them out one on one, will you just say, hey, do it in front of the class?
Yeah, sometimes. I think it just kind of depends on the kid too.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
You
you could
got
probably tell like he or she's gonna like if doing it in front of the class or not.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, so it just kind of depends on on the kid, and
Yeah.
even like who's got the relationship with the kid. So the kid may have done something really well, but like I don't necessarily have the relationship with them, but
Uh-huh.
this also does. So we might try to connect with that person and be like, hey, we're gonna give this kid, this award or this privilege or something like that. Do you want to be a part of it? Um, so that kind of helps it out too.
Yeah, because I think that's a good idea too, because you want to build as much as you'd like to have a relationship with everyone, it's impossible. But you want to build the relationships they do have with the adults in the building
Sure.
because it's gonna make
Yeah.
it's gonna make their relationship better, and then other students will see that too.
Yeah. For the reality of the situation, like you said, there's 830 kids in our building. I can't have a relationship with all of them as much as
Yeah.
like you'd like to, or Chad or Brandon can't have a relationship with them all. But our goal is that every kid does have a positive relationship with at least one adult, right?
Yeah.
Whether
Yeah.
it's a teacher or coach or bus driver, or cafeteria worker, whoever it might be. Um, so we'll pull those kids in. I know last year we had a kid who, we were able to connect the kid with he's a huge WWE fan. And I think that's what's called the wrestling, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
We were able to connect that kid up with some tickets. They came to Seagate or the Huntington Center or one of those places.
Mm-hmm.
We were able to get some tickets for him. And, I didn't necessarily have that relationship with that kid, but one of our cafeteria monitors did. And so we had got a cafeteria monitor actually come up and he was kind of like I would say he was like a driving force to get the tickets. It was Brandon Decker did a nice job with that, and we worked with some
Yeah.
people, but we brought that guy up because he had that relationship with that kid, so that made it a little bit more memorable for it. So
Oh, nice.
yeah,
That's my favorite part is finding all those little things that kids are into. Because my eyes are so open to other hobbies. Like I can really dive into other things for a short amount of time. So if a kid tells me they like really enjoy this, whatever it is, like I can be into it and enough to discuss it with them. And it might be this super niche thing, but I mean that's part of this podcast too, right? Is finding all
right,
those little
yeah,
things that people are into. And
that's right
I
on.
really enjoy that part of it because sometimes what they're into is no one knows what it is,
Yeah.
and if they can have someone to chat with it about for a
Right.
little bit.
Yeah. It's cool to hear about different kids' interests and things like that, and and it's also interesting to like when you talk with kids, like what their perceptions of you are.
Mm.
And I remember I was talking to one kid, it was either last year or the year before. I think it was last year. And he and I are in the office. We had a little bit of a relationship, but I wouldn't say like a pretty extensive one. And we were just talking about books. And he looked over my office. I've got different like mementos in my office, representing different things. And one of the things I have up on like a bulletin board is a pin that I actually bought when I was at Disney last year with the family.
Mm-hmm.
And he kind of asked about it, and I was like, I'm a huge Disney fan. And he goes, "What?" I'm like, "Yeah, we just went. I just love the magic of it and all these different things." He goes, "I never thought you would be a Disney fan." I was like, yeah. Sometimes I'm bored. If I need something on TV, I'll just turn on like Steamboat Willie, cartoons or whatever. And he goes, I've always thought of you as being this person,
Mm-hmm.
right, with being athletics. And I got a framed football jersey up there, I got the football helmet because I've always seen you as that person. I never saw you at that person. So that was kind of like an interesting, moment for me. Kind of like break down stereotypes. And I remember like we did this activity one of our teachers led, but like, what does your classroom say about you? And
Mm.
are you inadvertently like shutting down kids because of how your classroom is designed or decorated? Are you like a kid walks in and sees nothing but Cleveland Brown stuff hanging in there, and that kid walks in and has no interest in sports,
Yeah.
are you automatically like putting up a wall now between you and that kid because of some stuff like that? And so I think that's that's something we've all kind of taken in the back of our mind a little bit.
I said that there's a hard like a line there too, because you want your teachers to be able to express themselves and be
Sure.
themselves, but at to a certain level. In my office, I have a small um, thumbtack board that I have a bunch of personal stuff on there that that when I'm sitting in my office, I'm frustrated. I look up at it and whatever, But if the whole every wall was covered with things, it'd be a little overwhelming. And I think
Yeah.
that's what you're talking about. Like,
Yeah.
be yourself, and but try to balance to know that you have all these other personalities coming in here every day.
One of a cool thing that many of our teachers do actually is that first week of school, they keep like a wall blank. There's nothing on it, or like a bulletin board or a whiteboard or something.
Mm-hmm.
And they have the kids either go home and bring in a picture or like find one on Google and they'll print it out for them that represents something that they're interested in or something that they care about. And then they put them up on the board. And the idea is now, no matter what, every single day you come in and you can identify with something in that room. That kind of brings everybody together. So a lot of our teachers do that. It's kind of a cool idea that they do.
I want to do that at my work. I the exact same thing. Like we have a bulletin board, and I want to tell my staff, like, all right, you you don't live to work, right? You work to live, and I want you to bring something in here that this is a reason you work. Like you want to, whether it's fishing, hunting, you go to sporting events, you have children, you whatever, like put it on this board so you can see it and be reminded. Like, you might be having a bad day at work, but you can just take a glance at this board real quick when you're coming back to the shop to clean up or to use restroom or whatever. You can see that, and hopefully it helps you or puts a smile on your face or something, because there's more important things than having to clean this park.
Yeah, I think it's part of. I mean, it's not your identity by any means.
Yeah.
Right? But it's part of your story.
Yeah.
And you've got to have, if it's. I know there's a lot of people who don't necessarily have jobs that they particularly like, but it's okay. Does that give you the ability to do this? That or give you the ability to support this or give you the ability to do that. It's kind of like one of those like balancing type of things, and I think that's important. That people will kind of identify those things.
I also don't want to make it seem like I got to find a happy balance between like this thing that I want to do, but also I don't want it to be like kitschy or like a little kids or whatever. Like, but
Yeah, right.
the time the it's just the first time, because then like I do it and then it's like, all right, well this is how Lorenzo is, or this is what he's about or whatever, and they know that I'm for lack of a better term for work, I'm definitely a player's coach, and they know that already. So this just adds to it. There is one other thing that I want to do that I don't know if they'll get behind is like have a word of the year and have that up there too.
Yeah.
But I'm still trying to mess with that because I don't know. I don't know where we're landing. I don't know if I can do too many things at one time.
Yeah, that's always kind of like a challenging point for me too, because I do a lot of like reading and all that stuff like on different things, and like I'm always like conscientious of like how much I push that out to the staff, because I don't want people to like feel like, hey, Scott's pushing kind of his own journey, type of thing to us. And so there's kind of like a fine line on that and like what fits, and hopefully you do enough just to like spike some curiosity and help other people kind of, hey, that was interesting, I'm going to take a look at that, and we'll go from there. So actually I do like weekly like staff announcements, and then there's like moments of like gratitude, like different things that people like staff members did that week, or a conversation I had that I was like, oh, that was a cool conversation, I'm glad they challenged me on that. And then actually like the events, then always link some type of like resource to it, like a little article or video or something like that, and a quote. And the resources kind of like balance between like, hey, this is like specifically like education related, or this is, hey, this is something that I found interesting that's helped me, maybe it could help you.
Yeah.
Type of thing. So
that's why I asked you about where you discipline kids if you have to, and because I don't know if I talked to you about it. I know I've said it on the podcast before, but I read Mike Socha's book, and he talked about not like, he made a point to when he had to address the team and he knew it was gonna be like a negative conversation, like you basically have to get better. He would take them out in the outfield and do it in the outfield and not in the clubhouse. He said, because the
Yeah.
clubhouse is their home. Like I don't want them to have negative feelings about coming into their home because, I yelled at them or did whatever, so I do it in the outfield. That way, it's done. And then we walk away and then everyone goes back into their home and they feel better about it.
Mm-hmm. That's a good idea. I mean, it's like I said, just to kind of like, there's a lot of kids that we know, like we can pull out of class and just like walk like, hey, and I think that eases the tension right away.
Yeah.
It becomes because a lot of times like, kids get that pass to come to the office and it's immediately like a wall,
Yeah.
as opposed to kind of like, sometimes what I'll wait to do is like to a hall exchange. And I'll see them in the hall, be like, hey, come here for a second. And, kind of walk a little bit, make sure we're private, just try to figure out what's going on, because that's the first thing. It's like, we're never like accusational with different things. Okay.
Yeah.
What happened here? Give me a chance to like talk what happened. And then they kind of talk and then we have to kind of do our due diligence on it after that. But so that's definitely a strategy that we'd use depending on the kid, depending on the situation.
I've had an office for, I think probably since July. I've had an office now, and I try not to ever have one-on-one meetings in my office. We have a lot of bigger offices in our shop now because it's called the Enrichment Center, so it's a bigger building. So we got all these different rooms everywhere, and my office has no windows, which I also don't like. But yeah, so I try to have.
So is your office at Glass City?
It is, yes.
That like pavilion that I was at for the PD a couple of years ago.
No, it is not. It is. Okay. It's brand new. Well, it was an old building, but they rehabbed it, so it's closer. It's right on Front Street. Okay. Now, so it's closer to Waite High School.
Yeah. Okay. I got you.
Yeah. So we have all these other office rooms or meeting rooms. So I always try to have meetings there because I don't want every time someone comes in the office to be like, oh man, this is where he has to talk to us about negative stuff all the time. And my team, we don't have to do that a lot, but I just try not to be in there as much. And even sometimes if I'm just working, if I know I got a bigger office day, then I will go in one of those other rooms too, because again, I don't have windows, so I'd rather like be around.
They drive me nuts.
Yeah.
That drive me nuts. So
yeah.
So how's the so Glass City Park, right? Ice skating, all that stuff. So I imagine this would be like peak time of year, right? I mean, how's that?
Oh, yeah. It's pretty crazy. And stuff you don't really probably people don't think about. That you just me being the supervisor, I got to think about every once in a while. Like this week, for whatever reason, because it's because of the holiday, but our dumpsters never got emptied, and we have 3 on site. We're actually 4 on site, and they were all full. So just having to like navigate with my team, like, all right, I'm not there, and they're calling me like, hey, these dumpsters are full. All right, so let's try to take a piece of equipment, smash them down, or take them to one of our other parks that has a dumpster. There's all these little things, but it is very, very popular right now. And because the park that I run has ice skating, we don't get the winter slowdown. Like every other park has a winter slowdown because
it probably picks up, doesn't it? I would imagine.
Yeah, well, it pretty much stays the same because of all the water play we have too at that park. Like it's always busy. So we found out the slow times for our park are after Labor Day, for about 6 weeks from Labor Day until we start ice skating in mid-November. It's slow with like the public, but it's busy because we are getting ready for ice skating. So there's a lot of stuff that we have to do as a staff.
Yeah.
And then after ice skating until Memorial Day, when we open up all the water play features. But again, like we are cleaning up all the ice skating stuff. We are preparing for the rush of summer. Like there is not a lot of downtime where other parks get the benefit of having a winter where they can do stuff.
Are those restaurants open then?
Yeah.
The skating rink. Those are up going.
Yeah. Yep. It's open. I think it's open every day. The restaurant. Yeah. So it's super. Yeah. It's super popular. People love it. The good thing is, we watched the Lions Cowboys game at the Marshalls, and Lexi said that she goes, every time I hear someone that goes there, she goes, I always ask them how it was or if there's any issues, just so I can let you know, like if there's problems. And she's like, everyone I talk to that says they love it. Everything's really cool. I said, yeah, well, good. I'm glad.
So what was the text exchange between you and Trey with that Lions Cowboys ending?
There was zero texting, zero, and I was shocked. Even like during the game, and even after the game, and I have not heard from and to peel back the curtain. This is like you said, it's January 1st, so I have not heard anything even from Ben. Like I was over there and we saw it, and even when we saw it, like we were like, oh yeah, he just didn't check in, whatever. And then I thought, now that video is going around everywhere where it shows number 68 like talking to the official, and I thought when they replayed it on the game night, I was like, oh, that's 68 right there. I was like, well, that's got to be 58 because they said he didn't check in, so whatever. So I saw that, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is insane. But no, no one's texting me about it. And what sucked for them is that the Eagles lost, and if they would have beat the Cowboys, they would be the number 2 seed right now.
Yeah, that cost them. That was a big time.
Yeah.
I was in the car the day after listening to the Ravens Dolphins game, and they must have, I forgot what team it was, but they must have had an offensive lineman come in and check eligible. And the announcers made a big deal about what the officials did, how the officials basically paused, pointed out the guy who's eligible, and then like did this to show the number of who actually was eligible. And so the commentators are like, there was a league-wide conference call with all the officials this morning. So you guys got to do a better job of identifying this.
And that's how it happens. Well, that's how it should be. Like, here's a mistake that was made. Yeah. Here's how we're going to correct it.
For sure.
And also, your crew is not going to do any playoff games.
As I heard that. Yeah, I heard that. That was the same crew that has missed a few PI calls too.
I was just going to say it wasn't their first time missing a call.
First bump, yeah.
Which is going to happen. Whatever. I mean, I say that now as a Cowboys fan because it benefited me that they messed up. But also there was a lot of Lions fans who said, "Why didn't they just kick the extra point after the third time, like the third attempt?"
Yeah, right. Yeah, I know Dan Campbell after the game was like, well, once we got the ball back, I knew we were gonna go win it. Yeah. He just has that mindset, right?
Yeah,
that we're gonna win it, and good for him. But I mean, whatever.
I don't know.
So how do you feel as a Cowboy fan heading to the playoffs?
I'll never feel good until we actually like do a good job. Like if we get to the NFC Championship game this year, I'll be excited about it. Yeah. Because we will win a playoff game. Well, and then everyone's excited, and then it's terrible. So, in my life, I can't be like too upset about it because my luck of teams I've seen a lot of good with my teams, so I'm never like super disappointed. It sucks. And I would love to see them win a Super Bowl, mostly now because of Mateo. Like I want Mateo to experience what I've experienced. I've experienced, the Indians at the time going to 2 World Series. I've seen the Cowboys win 3 Super Bowls. I've seen the Spurs win 5 championships. I've seen Texas win a national championship. Like all my teams have done well, and I want Mateo to experience that. So that's mostly what it is now.
I think they got a shot.
What's that?
I think they got a shot.
I think so too. I mean, their defense is really good, and Dak's playing really good right now. And it's exciting, and
you got a better staff that's been there.
Yeah. The only thing that sucks, and someone made a point of it too, is like Dan Campbell and that whole mess at the end really negates the fact that that McCarthy messed up time management on when they had the ball. Why are we throwing the ball and throwing it out of bounds when we're trying to run the clock out?
Yeah, that's all right.
So that they said that overshadows it. So now he gets a break on that. Yeah.
I like Big Mike though.
Oh, I know you do.
Nothing but love for Big Mike.
He doesn't bother me. The one I'm gonna miss when he probably gets a head coaching job next year is Dan Quinn, the defensive coordinator, because that defense is so good.
Yeah, he's probably due for another shot at it.
Yeah, and I think last year, he declined interviews. Maybe it was because it was teams he wasn't interested in. Yeah. But he declined interviews and was like, "No, I'm good. I'm gonna stay here." So,
but I've got a buddy from OU that's on the Cowboy staff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
What does he do?
He's the assistant DB's coach.
No kidding.
Yeah. So kind of cool story. Kind of worked his way up.
Yeah. You have to give me his info. See if I can talk to him. Podcast.
Yeah. I'll figure it out. Find it for you. I haven't talked to him in years, probably since we probably a year or so after we graduated. But like, I can get that info.
Yeah, that's cool, man. That's how I was able to do so many cool things is because my grandpa had a relative that worked for the Cowboys,
Yeah.
so I was able to go to their training camp and
Did you say you had a Troy Aikman like helmet or something? Got Troy Aikman
yeah,
autograph helmet?
it's right above my head
Oh, I
right
see it.
there.
Is that right there?
Yeah, yep. And that's the one where my grandpa's like, you can have this one. I'm gonna get a real helmet signed by him. I said, okay, thank you.
Okay. Yeah, sure.
I'll take it. But he has. I was not there, but my grandpa had pictures of him like holding the Super Bowl trophy with Jerry Jones and stuff. It's pretty cool. Yeah,
That's neat.
like
My my wife years ago for Raymond James they have like a national conference every year somewhere.
mm,
And like years ago, it was actually held, I think, in Arlington. Is that where the Cowboy Stadium is? Arlington.
um, I
Um,
don't. Yes, it is. Yes.
but anyways, long story. It's like right after the new stadium opened,
Mm-hmm.
and so she and everybody else from Raymond James got this like super like select private tour and she has her picture of her standing on the star in midfield and then Tony Romo's locker and
That's sweet.
all this stuff. It was cool.
Yeah, that Jimmy had a contact that worked for the Cowboys that would like get him real awesome tickets and they got to I think they went in a box one time or something and I was like, yeah, he goes, well, yeah, when you guys come down here, they took a tour of the Star, their headquarters and everything. So yeah, if you guys ever come down here, we'll hook up and now she doesn't work for them anymore. I was like,
Oh,
I missed my chance.
Yeah, right. I went to a Packer game in Lambeau a couple years ago. Matt Hollinger lives up in Green Bay, and so me and another buddy from OU went up there, and Matt's wife, as a side job, is a waitress in the suites, and just extra money, right? And so we went to the game, and she's been the waitress for the Green Bay Press Gazette suite for like 16 years, 18 years or something. So she knows everybody. So we ended up buying like cheap tickets to the game. And then at the end of the first quarter, she met us down and gave us like the passes, like,
oh yeah,
over your neck, whatever. She goes, just show the guy at the elevator's pass. You guys should be right up. And so we did. We showed it and came right up and got to hang out there for a while. That was pretty cool.
yeah, that's sweet, man. I do you have like in your phone or whatever, like have people where you're like, man, I could probably make this connection work, but
You feel
I'm
bad
afraid
about
to
it
ask.
because you
Yeah.
haven't talked to them in a long time. Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do.
Even if it's like because it is one of the it goes back it reminds me of I used to mess with George all the time because his parents used to live right behind the fort.
Yeah,
And every 4th of July,
Fourth of
like
July. Fourth of July.
these people would just like they hadn't talked to him since last 4th of July, and they're like, "Hey,
Yeah.
your parents still live there? Can we come over and hang out?" And I still mess with them. His parents don't live there anymore, but I'll still text them every 4th of July, like, "Hey," or 3rd of July, like, "Hey, can I come over to your parents' house? Hang out."
Yeah.
But that's what it is. Like I would like to think if I got into the point where someone would call me and be like, "Hey, I haven't talked to you in a while. We used to be good buddies. Can you hook me up with this or that?" But I would imagine it gets old after because there's probably a lot of people that do it.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I don't. Yeah, there's some people like I got this like I think it's this buddy from college who like, we're pretty good friends in college, but since that time period, we play fantasy football together, and we don't mess up. But he lives in Tampa. He's like a lawyer in Tampa, and so he's kind of a big shot, and it has like the boat out there and stuff like that. And we're like we go to Tampa, hang out with him. But, like it'd be like awkward for me to be like text him like, hey, I'll be in Tampa to you want to get together or
Yeah.
anymore, unless it was like a group of us.
I think that's a little better. Like, hey, I happen to be in your city. You want to go out to dinner or whatever, as opposed to be like, hey, can I come down and hang out with you?
Right.
So I don't know. Wait, did you freeze, Scott?
Yeah. So but yeah. You were back.
Say it again.
Am I okay?
Oh yeah, we're good.
Am I okay for you?
Yeah,
all right.
Yeah,
you froze a little bit. I got a little message that said my internet was unstable. I'm okay.
That's all right. That'll work. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I'd have to look through it. I don't know if I would have people like that. I'm assuming I do, but it is. I'm friendly enough with other people where I have done that before. Where I'm like, hey, I'm going to be in your city. Want to hang out? If not, cool. That whatever. I'm just reaching out.
I'd say the biggest case of that was, and we didn't do this. So this would have been probably at 08, 09, right around there. Before I was married, I was teaching. We went to a bunch of college friends of mine. We went to New York City for New Year's Eve.
Oh.
And we were trying to figure out. So like one of our buddies, his name was Jaron. He was already living in Harlem. And he was home for Christmas. He's from Hilliard outside Columbus. And so we all crafted a plan of, hey, we'll meet in Hilliard. We'll pick Jaron up. We'll take him back to New York if we can stay with him for New Year's.
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, that's cool. That sounds fun. So there's like 8 of us, right? Everybody from college. I think the only one that you probably know is Hollinger came with us. And so we're trying to figure out what to do for New Year's Eve. And the only caveat that Jaron had was like, we're not doing Times Square. He goes, I did it last year. It was the worst experience of my life. I'm never going to do it. You guys are going to regret it. It's not fun. It's miserable. It will be awful. So trying to figure out what to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
So meanwhile, one of our buddies has a friend of one of our buddies' older brother.
This is sketchy.
Right? Apparently is like a model in New York City.
Mm-hmm.
And so he goes, well, let me call this guy. He's pretty in tune to stuff, and maybe he will like tell us what to do. And so we're driving to New York now from Columbus.
As you're driving, so you don't have plans besides we're staying with Jared?
Not really. We kind of do research at this point in time. Like there was this like club option that we could do. It was like it's like $75 a ticket, but it was like all you eat, all you can drink at this club, outside of Times Square, type of thing. So we're like, all right, we'll do that. Kind of like
our backup, our fallback.
Yeah.
Our safety club.
Our safety club, right? And so lo and behold, our buddy texts his friend he's not even like really friends with, and asks, hey, does your brother still live in New York? And he goes, yeah. And he goes, well, me and all my friends are going to be there for New Year's. Is he doing anything? I mean, because he's like a pretty well-to-do model. He's kind of like in the circles there.
Yeah.
Is he doing anything that we could do? I mean, for New Year's? I mean, can we like tag along? There's like 8 of us.
Yeah.
And so he goes, let me call him and ask. So he calls, and then he calls back and goes, hey, my brother's not actually going to be there. However, he got invited to Z and Beyonce's New Year's Eve party that he thinks he can get you guys into.
Oh my God.
I said, that's serious. And we're like, no way. And he goes, yeah, he thinks he'll be able to. He just has to like know who's, and then put you guys on a list and all this stuff. So like we're like driving to New York thinking about this. Like, do we do this? Do we not do this? Like, how like super like sketchy is that? Like, do we like 8 guys from Ohio show up to this party, right?
Yeah,
that we don't even know. Like the one person we know, only one of us knows. We don't really know him,
and he's not going to be there.
He's not going to be there. So we ended up deciding not to do it. We went to that club that I told you about. But that thought process was there though.
Is there any regret to this day? Like, man, maybe we probably should have tried that.
No, I mean, I haven't. That's the first time I thought of that in a few years. So
really?
No. Yeah.
That's crazy.
The moment I actually think of more about that trip, like I said, there's like 8 of us there. Like we're 23, 24 years old. Super great time. And so Matt Hollinger, all he wants to do is see the Empire State Building and go to the top. That's all he wants to do. Like we're there for like 4 days. And so it's like day 3 and it's like 9:00 at night.
Mm-hmm.
And, like you can like do the tours of the Empire State Building. So he goes, I want to see that night. I want to see the city lit up. So we go and like buy tickets or whatever. And it's like a 3-hour wait.
Oh God.
And we're like, no, we're sorry, man, we're not doing it. So we're walking around And this guy like hears like the transactional conversation with us. Like we're not like waiting 3 hours. So this guy pops out of this alley and goes, "Hey, you guys want to go up there?" We're like, "Yeah." He goes, "I have a back way to get you guys up there,
Oh no.
free of charge." And we're like, and Matt is like, "Let's go." We're like, "No,
Not even a second thought.
not even a second
This
thought."
sketchy guy out of an alley. Yes, let's do it. Come on.
Nope. We'll just go straight here. So I think of that moment more than I think of the possible Jay-Z party.
Oh my God. That's so funny. So he didn't get to see the Empire State Building, huh?
No, we didn't do it. So like he came to New York, wanted to do two things only. Actually three things. We did one of them. He wanted to see the Empire State Building, did not do that. Wanted to see Yankee Stadium, we did not do that.
Yeah.
And wanted to see the Seinfeld coffee shop, which we did do that.
Okay.
We were able to see that.
1 out of 3.
Yeah, so I was like, dude, why would we want to see Yankee Stadium on December 29th? Why don't we just go back in July and see a game?
Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah.
So New Year's Eve plans in New York City. You guys went to a bar, club, whatever. Now what was like 15 years later, 2 children, yeah. New Year's Eve. Did you even stay up till midnight? Last night. Yeah.
Well, dude, I came close because the Packers were on TV.
Oh, okay.
Packers.
Yeah, that didn't end. I felt like that ended at like 11?
15, 11:30.
Yeah.
Did I wait? Did I stay up the extra half an hour? No.
Oh man.
So I went to bed. Lindsay and I haven't stayed up for a New Year's Eve probably since Alice was born.
Really?
Yeah. I mean,
we usually set an alarm for like 11:55. We fall asleep on the couch. Last night though, we didn't. We also stayed up. We were at my in-laws. We watched the Packers game. And then we came home probably about 11:30, and the kids wanted to stay up. So they were up. We got little party hats and stuff, and they were all excited about it. So yeah, we stayed up, and then I didn't go to bed probably till about 1:45.
Yeah, I think we'll probably like when the girls get a little older, probably your kids' age, we'll stay up again.
Yeah.
Did I ever tell you about what Lindsay and I's previous New Year's Eve tradition was?
No.
For kids. So we used to. This is a bad one too. We used to every New Year's Eve have dinner with her dad and stepmom, in Detroit. And one year, I can't remember if we were married. We must have been married because we had Clement, which was that little white dog.
Yeah.
With us. And we were so hungry heading up there. And I remember going to dinner, right? We were so hungry. And like, you know how like Lindsay's like super, like she's always been like super health conscientious of everything, right? And she goes, I have to eat something. I said, okay, well, like we're driving, like our options are fast food.
Mm-hmm.
And she goes, I don't care. Just go to the Taco Bell right over there. So we go to Taco Bell and she gets a burrito. I can't remember if I was driving or she was driving or whatever, but the burrito spills and the nacho cheese goes onto the dog. The white dog's got this nacho cheese all on it. And we're like, oh gosh. And so whatever, we clean the dog up. So ever since that moment, our New Year's Eve tradition on New Year's Eve for dinner, we would have Taco Bell. We called it Taco Bell Explosion Day, where that'd be the one time a year we would get Taco Bell. We could order whatever we wanted and just go to town on it. So after a couple of years of doing it for dinner, like we would spend like $40 there. I mean, it was
and that's a lot for Taco Bell.
It was so much.
Yeah.
And then after a couple of years of doing that for dinner, we're like, well, we can't handle the dinner anymore. So let's make it for lunch. And so we had it for lunch, and their office picked up on it. And so her office was doing it too.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So like every day, because they have to work typically on Christmas or on New Year's Eve if the market's open.
Oh yeah, okay.
They would do it too. And so like and then finally, like over the last several years, when I've actually paid a little bit more attention with what I put into my body just wasn't responding the way it used to Taco Bell. And so we stopped doing it.
Oh yeah. When your body tells you, I guess that's game over. Taco Bell has been there for a lot of people for a lot of different reasons. Yours just happened to be on a New Year's dinner where you guys were starving, and that was in high. I mean, in high school, that was the place, man.
That was every weekend.
Yeah, we need to go somewhere. We're hungry.
Yeah.
Taco Bell. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Our wedding night, it was probably about 2 a.m. and we were starving. And there was no fast food open, and I heard my parents like walking down the hallway at the hotel, and I was like, "You guys going to Taco Bell?" Like, yeah. I was like, "Here, can you get us a bunch of stuff?" So Adrian and I had Taco Bell at like 2 o'clock in the morning on our wedding night.
Oh, it's awesome. I tell you, so I can't remember the last time I had Taco Bell, but Lindsay, not very often, but she will make a homemade Crunch Wrap Supreme. So good.
Yeah.
So good. Yeah. It puts Taco Bells to shame.
They have, and this is what we usually eat, and it sounds bad because I'm Mexican, but they have good like taco kits at Meijer that we always usually get. And real quick, you just brown some meat, and if you want to cut up some veggies, throw some veggies on there, good to go.
Yeah, we've gotten the Taco Bell packages before because they're actually not that bad for you.
Okay.
Takes those and compares them to the other packages, and like actually, it's not that bad.
That, and you can make them with ground turkey if you want to.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's what like the grass fed beef that we always get, and put it in, or the turkey or whatever. So it's good.
Yeah, that's one of our as I'm sure you're well aware, there's certain things your kids will eat, and as adults, you're forced to eat the same stuff every once in a while because you'd rather not fight about it. So
you gotta trick them and saying sloppy joes and meatball salad. Words, by the way, that's one of the best skits of all time.
So I've been working with George, and I was excited to debut some new old jokes I was supposed to do a comedy show on the December 19th, but I was sick and I had to cancel. And I was excited because it was like old material, but George like helped me revamp it and add some new jokes and stuff. And that was one of them. Like the Sloppy Joe story was going to be told again, but it was going to have like a new ending. And I was pretty excited about it. But now I gotta wait to do it again some other time.
So when are you gonna get on the mic again?
I don't know. That was the last one I had booked.
Is that going to be Levi and Lilacs? Is that what it's called?
Levi Lilac, yeah. So there's supposed to be another one there in February. But the owner or the renters of that building, they rent the downstairs, which is Levi and Lilac, and then they rent the upstairs too, but they don't know if they're going to renew their lease for that upstairs part.
Okay.
So Jake's going to have to find somewhere else to go if they don't renew their lease. So he's looking at other options and stuff and seeing what's out there. But yeah, it's a cool space up there. I really enjoy it. I've been there a couple of times. Did a comedy show, but then I've seen other things there, music shows and other stuff too.
Yeah, I haven't been to the upstairs. I've been to the restaurant a couple times.
Restaurant's good too. I love their burgers and stuff.
Yeah, it's neat. Cool.
Yeah. But yeah, at some point I'll let you know. I'm gonna do it again because it is fun, and I have, like I said, I've been working with me and George have been working together, and there's some new stuff that I'm pretty excited about. And the past like 3 times I've done it, I've done new stuff that's done really well, and I've done old stuff that has done well. So it's been fun again. Like I enjoy doing comedy again.
I love the classics.
Yeah, and it is a lot of it, and that's what's hard too is that these Levi Lilac shows, I've done 3 of them, and like the same people will come back, so I gotta like try old stuff or do sometimes I'll do the same jokes again, but people will still enjoy it, which is fun too, because I try to. It also forces me to write a little bit more if I know the same people are coming that just saw me last month, so I'm trying to like write a little bit more. So
and just like reflect it. You're holding that craft a little bit, right?
Yeah. And having a friend writing partner helps too, because they sometimes you don't see jokes that
accountability there too. That you have to do it. And
yeah.
Good thing.
But all right, well, Scott, again, thanks for coming on. I got boatloads of laundry to do, so
I got my laundry all downstairs ready to go.
I did load last night. There's load in the dryer, and now the kids need some stuff done too. So again, I appreciate you coming out here. You're a good dude, good friend, and like I said at the beginning, someone I can always count on to be like, hey, I need an episode.
And we got to go out sometime, Lorenzo.
We do. I think the last time we went out was a COVID beer over Zoom. So
it was probably. It's just, man. It's just you get it with kids and everything. It's hard.
Oh yeah, man.
Carve that time out, right?
Well, hopefully it happens before we go to San Diego in June.
Yeah, right. I'm looking forward to that trip. That'll be fun.
Oh, it's gonna be awesome. Yeah. All right, man. Well, thanks again. Have a good day, man.
You too.
See ya.
Yeah.
Thanks again to my guest, Scott Buker, for coming on the podcast. Enjoyed talking to him about easy bake ovens, cardboard creations, team building, that kind of stuff. He's always good to talk about with team building. He's it's fun to talk about that kind of stuff with him. And then New Year's Eve. I know this episode came out on the 18th, but we recorded on New Year's Day. So we talked about New Year's Eve plans, and as we get older, how those change. So thanks again to Scott for coming on and agreeing to podcast on such short notice. Thanks to all of you for always liking, sharing, and subscribing to the podcast. Please continue to do so. Go to YouTube page, hit that subscribe button. Let's get those subscribers up and keep climbing these charts, viewers, downloads, whatever. Let's just keep going up because it's fun, and I'm hoping you guys are enjoying it as much as I am. So maybe at some point these will be in person again, but this is very simple and easy to do, and it continues to grow little by little. So hopefully the changes of going to once a week isn't too crazy for people. So thanks again to all of you. And as always, thanks to Real JP Multimedia, Cuttlefish Graphics, Perrysburg Junior High STEM Lab, and Big Daddy Graphics for always helping out the podcast. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.